You go from having just a couple thousand followers pre-Sabrina
Yeah.
to having 500,000, quite literally within hours of it debuting.
Right.
I mean, that's a seismic life change.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, like, it's not overnight. You worked really hard to get on that TV show, and you did a lot of shit. But it's weird. Like, you actually see the growth overnight.
Yeah, it's I try to not think about it too much, to be honest, man. It's surreal, you know, and it's rewarding in a lot of ways. And I think when that initially happened, and I think it was like less than a few thousand, man. I think I was like just scraping 1,000.
Oh, dude, I was just trying to be polite. I don't know.
Thanks, man. No, but you know, you're being generous there for sure. I think it was like, I don't know, it was like 900 or something, man. And you know, like it followers on Instagram is somewhat of a barometer in today's day and age of like keeping track of, you know, attention. And, you know, like no one, like before Sabrina, I was just like, I was living in Burbank with 5 people in like a 3-bedroom place, but I was like sharing a room and sharing a bathroom with multiple people. I was doing that stereotypical actor thing, you know? It's like barely scraping by financially, and whatever money I did have, I was spending on acting classes to make sure I was like sharp. And I remember like drilling the audition in class, and you know, 1 minute in that apartment, and then the next week, you know, I had the audition, and then the callback the next day, and then they're like, "Is your passport current?" And I was like, "Yeah." And then I was getting picked up in a car and flying first class, which I'd never done. I'd never flown business, or, you know, and it was just like I was in a nice hotel room, like by myself. I hadn't lived alone in my adult life. It was all very like boom, boom, boom. So yeah, like the followers is one thing, but
it's all around to change.
All that too, man. I mean, I was considering getting back into working in a restaurant because I was doing that right before Sabrina. I was working as a daytime host at a fancy restaurant, and then I was another host, and eventually like busboy, barback, all that. It was like those were like 2 of the 4 restaurants I'd worked in or something. Yeah.
What do you learn about acting from that first experience?
From that first experience
or really this industry?
What are you talking about? Sorry, the first experience.
Sabrina.
Yeah.
This idea that like it is an overall life change. You go from living with 5 other guys to being in the back of an Escalade, and sitting in first class, and then like going to a wardrobe where you have nothing but clothing options. I mean, they just spend $10,000 just on clothes that are sized for you.
Sure.
It's crazy.
It's weird, man. I mean,
food galore.
It's so strange. You know, I don't know fully what it does to the psyche, to be honest. At the time, I was like, oh, this is just how it's going to be forever. It's like, we made it, you know? But, you know, my buddy, Chance, who was on the show, was like, you know, it's not a matter of getting here. It's a matter of maintaining this. And I was like, wow, that's true, man. I think people like make it and then they just think, well, that's it. But, you know, there is this, it's up and down, dude. There's moments where it's like that, and then there's moments where it's quiet and like you're wondering if you're going to work again.
How does that impact the decisions you make next?
I think in order to continue to do this job, you have to have some crazy level of optimism or hope or ambition or something. You know, you just got to want it and keep pushing forward and looking at where you can make changes. And, you know, it's probably about finding some balance with it all, man. Because I'm totally guilty of like making my career my everything. I've gone through that a lot. I think we do that a lot in America in general, right? Like we make our career this core focus of life, and we pursue it with like reckless abandon. And so much of my happiness was dictated on that as the premise, right? And at some point I was just like, man, I cannot put all of my like source of joy in this one thing. So, you know, how does that inform my next choice? I mean, it's like when it does get quiet, it's an opportunity to reconnect with the parts of yourself that you've maybe forgotten or neglected, you know, and you spend more time with family or cultivating friendships and, you know, striking that life-work balance, you know.